Welcome to my show, simply entitled Women Influencers, where you will find inspirational stories of successful women in business. I am Veronica Malala, CCIM, founder and CEO of the Capstrata Group of companies, providing commercial real estate development, brokerage, and property management services in the greater Orlando area. Today's guest is Michelle Hensley, founder and CEO of Nifty Gift Package Company, the #1 mobile gift wrap service in the U.S. From a young widow and stay-home mom, she grew her client base that include the Kardashians and now the White House. A wonderful and inspirational story you just can't miss. Please don't forget to hit that thumbs up button and subscribe below. I welcome your comments and please share with someone who can benefit from this podcast. Hello, Michelle, all the way from California. Thank you so much for being here today. I'm just so excited because you have such a great story to tell. And so I'll just jump right in and ask you how you grew up in your environment and how you got to where you are today. I mean, share with us this beautiful story.
Yes, wonderful. Thank you for having me on here. I appreciate it and all the great questions. I was born and raised in Southern California. I have grown up here my entire life, although I've traveled all around the US. My father was a truck driver and it led us around the United States. So I had a little bit of flavor of everything. I grew up in an area it's North Long Beach. It's the green path between us and the next city was Compton. So I played with Compton kids all the time, predominantly African-American neighborhood. And I was very shy and very quiet. Grew up, went to college. My dream was to be an attorney, but that's not my personality. So it was God's decision to shift me into something completely different. So I basically flunked out of law school. I had some learning disabilities, which I was not aware of until then. And then I went back to school and got a master's in business. From there, I married and I have 3 sons. I went through a divorce as well. So I was not a Christian at that time. I became saved at age maybe 31. And I never thought I'd marry again because as I started to read the Bible for me, I realized, oh my gosh, I just a complete sinner and gave my life fully back to the Lord and then met and married a pastor of a church 5 years later, and then helped raise a family of 7. So I left my career. I was in a career as a sales and marketing director for a company. And but my whole journey changed at that time. He asked if I'd be interested in staying home, and that was really my prayer and my dream. So I came home, homeschooled our children. And then in I also went back to school to become a counselor. So I had a master's in business and a master's in counseling, became very well known in the area for counseling and specific issues that people were battling. Anyway, so that led me to being a pastor's wife, homeschooling children out of the workforce for 14 years. And then I lost him to cancer and I was age 50. So now I had to start my life over again.
Wow. And let me ask you, just for context. So when you raised 7 children, was that a mixed family or because you had 3 sons of your own? Did you have 4 with him or 4 of him or?
His first wife passed away from the same cancer he passed from. So 4 children are basically that both parents passed from metastatic melanoma. And we were a blended family. We would have loved to have had children, but it just wasn't God's design. But it worked out for the best later on. But in the moment, we were hoping that would be the case. And he didn't think he would pass away. It was a great fear of his, and it ended up happening. And when you have a strong faith, you never think your spouse is going to pass away again.
Yeah,
it's very sad. Yeah,
I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry for your loss. I wanted to ask you about when you lost your husband, was that you had to rebuild, but was that kind of the trigger to start your business that you have now? I mean, how did you transition into becoming an entrepreneur?
Well, I never ever thought everything I had done had been nonprofit, literally nonprofit. And everything was pro bono. I started and ran a nonprofit feeding the working poor in Southern California, especially during all those difficult years where we were in the Great Recession. And that's all I knew. I had, basically left the corporate life. So at the end, the church paid me for a year, and then I needed to go back and get a job. I closed down that nonprofit. Well, actually, now it is a nonprofit for widows to learn how to start and rebuild their life, like basically how to rebuild their life, going from loss to a financial advisor. So I created a skill set because I needed that. And I thought I can't have another widow go through what I went through. So at the end of the year, when they paid me the stipend, the church paid me a stipend for a year, then I knew I had to get a job. I was somebody referred me to a position, which would be the director for a rehabilitation center. There would be like 300 employees. They're a 5-star company. When I was interviewing with him, he said, Michelle, you're going to be on call 24 hours a day. You're going to work 60 hours a week, which is not a problem for me. But the being on call, I still had 2 children to launch. And my vision and his were 2 totally different things. So on the way home from that job interview, then I was like, Lord, what do I do? Is there any way I could start a business where I could work when I wanted and could versus have to? And if I like that idea, would other women like that idea? So when I got back to my house, I had a why. I just didn't know what I was going to do. One of my sons said, Mom, you had a gift basket business. Why don't you start that again? So I asked the ladies, hey, I love the Uber business model. Why don't we learn to work remote and do everything that way and then work together on our projects? And all the women were I loved it. So we started the business, and then I knew nothing. I didn't know how to, I didn't understand what a profit was, cost of goods. I knew nothing. I was that 70% of widows whose husband does everything for them. And it was really a deficit for me because I was lost in the world for a short bit in terms of just not knowing what to do. So
Sure.
never leaving my faith, very strong faith.
But the technical side, I mean, you have a master's in business, so you kind of understood what it takes. It's just this. If I'm correct in what I'm hearing, your struggle was that your husband kind of was the one that led your finances, and now you'd have to do it on your own. Am I correct in that?
Yes, yes. But even though I had a degree, it had been 20 years since I had been to school.
Right.
I had shifted everything to the nonprofit side. So I understood networking and things like that. But basically, I was serving the family and serving the church and the community. So I was in the background and he was in the forefront. So I had to come back out of that whole mindset. And the business started to grow and do well. And then I got hired by a finance coach or a finance advisor because of my specialties. I also have a certification in finance and life and grief coaching. So created classes, began to work at the local college, and then the business started to grow. And some people would kind of make fun of me because they thought remote was ridiculous because it wasn't popular back then.
Sure.
And this was 2015, 2016, 2017. So then one day in 2018, I was praying and I get up very early. I'm seeking God and I see my van sitting there. I'm thinking, wow, my van is sitting there half the day. What could I do with that van? I make gifts. Could I wrap gifts? Does anyone even do that? Does anyone drive around and wrap people's gifts? And so I put up a webpage. I got a call within about 4 days from a current client, a gift basket client. And he said, Michelle, I hate wrapping gifts. Would you come wrap all my gifts? And I said, yes. I put everything in the van, drove over to his house. I was so excited. I wrapped everything. It looked beautiful. And I stood back, I did that great thing and forgot to label all the gifts. So I had to unwrap and rewrap every gift to label them. It was terrible.
How many gifts?
There were like 25. It took me a good 4 hours because I didn't know what I was doing, back then.
Sure.
Now it's different, but back then. So put up pictures on Instagram, and I got a call in March of 2019 from Too Faced Cosmetics. It's a very edgy brand, and asked if I would do a gift wrap and fulfillment and design for them, which I did. And that went over incredibly well. And from there, that summer, I got called from the Kardashian estate manager, and I didn't even know who they were. I didn't have a TV. So
Ah,
I didn't watch TV. I had no idea who they were. My kids, my sons are, Mom, you've got to do that gift wrap. So this is when I transitioned from pastor's wife to business owner. I had a team of about 7 at that time. I said, everyone, we're going to Calabasas and we're going to wrap. We're going to do some design work for Kim and Kanye. They were married at the time. And
wow.
so I'm in their house. She hated everything I did. She didn't like it. I don't like that.
Oh,
Very nice, though. They're a nice couple. I walk outside. I'm like, Lord, if you brought me here, I cannot go home without a sale. I'm not doing it. So this is when I transitioned into a business owner. So I walk back in and I ask, does anyone have any fabric? And one of the gals said, I have some fabric. So I wrapped the gift, and Kim said, I love that. So that launched us into celebrity work. And now I wrap for several of the Kardashians, the Bieber family. I wrap for a lot of high profile. And we just won. I currently have the largest mobile gift wrapping business in the nation, the #1 luxury gift basket business. And we just won the presidential design and gift wrap for all the 5 new principals, which would be President Trump, First Lady, Vice President Vance, Second Lady, and Secretary of State. So we won that, and we're now the supplier and vendor for them. And I'm just very honored and very blessed. And colleges asked me to teach them how I did this. And instead, I decided to create a class and course to train other women. And now I train other women. Yeah.
well, I'm quite sure that you're so talented, but boy, if that's not God, what is? I
My
mean,
word, you are
uh,
not kidding. And people will ask me, where's your how to? And I tell them, listen, I don't care who they are, what their background is. They ask me the question all the time. And I tell them, I have to tell you, yes, I did these things, but how is it that a small little business in small little Old Town Orange gets picked to wrap for the White House? And it doesn't matter if it would be Obama or President Bush or whoever. It's an
yeah.
honor. The position is honorable. And so we're very excited. Yeah.
I'm just so excited because, this is what a great story that is. And I wanted to ask you if there was one challenge, and I know that you got widowed, and that must have been such a tremendous impact on not just you, but your kids. If there was, and I don't know if you want to speak about that, but if there was one challenge that you overcame, what would that be?
I think the one challenge would be, first of all, just embracing adversity.
Hmm.
And the Bible, for me, the Bible tells me, be thankful in all things and for all things. And so when I felt discouraged and depressed, I didn't foresee what God was planning for me. So overcoming the challenge was, I can do this. I don't know how I'm going to do it, but with God's strength, I can do this. I can rebuild my life. I can rebuild and have my identity. I know that this happened to me, but I am not that person anymore. God has changed and shaped me. So I had to learn to make a profit. I had to learn what makes me successful. I had to learn skills that I really didn't have. You can have a degree, but if you don't have
Hmm.
the experience, that's just theory. So I would say embrace adversity and manage your expectations. Things will be difficult. I speak positive. Yes, your words of your mouth are very important, but think in terms of there are going to be difficult days. So are you going to get through those, and how are you going to do that? And then, yeah, so I would say,
Yeah.
be prepared for adversity and manage your expectations.
Yeah. I mean, that's pretty incredible how you must have woken up after you've lost your husband thinking to yourself, how do I manage all this? And yet you did it. And by the grace of God, I mean, that this is
Absolutely.
really quite a story. I wanted to ask you about influence. And if there was one outcome that you're most proud of, that you had influence on, what would that be?
Sharing my story, um, sharing my story, which inspires hope in others. And that's really my mission in life, or it really is my mission. And that is, if I can inspire others to be better and to do better and to not be afraid. Women have a tendency to want to have everything perfect. And that is a hindrance to progress. So I would say, in the ability to influence others through your story and just that you've done it, you know, is huge for me. So I get to do that. I was hired to be a keynote speaker coming up. And I kind of just let the Lord lead in those, when the time is right, he'll have me do that and speak in front of, large groups where I can share my story. And yes, now that's happening. So it's exciting.
And you also have a hand in training other women. Am I correct? Is this a
Yes.
nonprofit or is this your own nonprofit? Tell us a little bit about that.
Well, I have two things. I have things that work hand in hand. I have a nonprofit which is separate, and that is a micro grants for widows. So it's a small little grant to give them the ability to get a business license and get themselves set up in business so they can work and earn an income for themselves or a side hustle. The other one is a full business. It is a for-profit training program where they can learn how they can either hire me to coach them through, is this a good business, whatever business they're in, then, or they can also be trained to run their own mobile gift wrapping business. And then they can become a licensed gift wrapper under the name of the Nifty brand. So Nifty Package is my gift wrapping and business. And then MichelleHensley.com is my training site. I've also written a book.
Oh, I love that. And if you would summarize kind of how many widows or just women in particular you've touched because of this, is it in the hundreds? Is it one? Is it two?
It probably is close to 100. I have 62 wrappers that work for me now outside of my Orange County area. So they're nationwide, and then we're expanding internationally. I'd love to have wrappers in Dubai. We get requests from Dubai. And then with the training, probably 60 ladies there as well. So, so it's just, I just started opening this up in October of last year. It's brand new. All of it's new. So yeah.
I love that. I love that. Surely it's another avenue to touch people, especially those who've had the same story as you, lost their husbands and they're trying to rebuild. I absolutely love that. So, Michelle, if I can ask you if there was one piece of advice that you could give to our audience today, what would that be?
I think it would be to realize, somebody asked me a question yesterday. It was a really good question. And it was, how do I bring, how to have productive joy? And that was a good question. So I would say have productive joy in terms of joy is you choose to have joy every day, no matter what your difficulty is. And then when you get to the end of your day, because you have women who are discouraged, and you have women who are depressed, and sometimes they can't figure out why. And maybe they're successful in their job or whatever, they might have some challenges. But at the end of the day, and this is kind of an oxymoron because our culture right now is very, it's all about the wellness. And sometimes, that doesn't happen. As well as I do, you work hours on end. Mm-hmm. And especially if you want to be successful or you're competing in a large pool. So it's like, how do I get myself heard? But do one more thing at the end of the day. One more thing, even if it's writing a thank you note, handwrite it to somebody, inspire them, but just do one more thing at the end of the day. It will actually help break any of the discouragement you might have.
Oh, I love that. Productive joy. That's really awesome. That's really awesome. So we've come to the part of our interview where you get to ask me a question. So go ahead, Michelle.
Well, you said something similar. You're rebuilding your life in terms of your career. Can you share with us what that looks like and what motivated you to do that?
Yeah, so I'm in my 60s, very early 60s, and I've been in commercial real estate for about 2 decades. And I continue to ask myself, what's next? I'm not this kind of person who just sits and says, okay, this is good, this is great, I'm happy, I have productive joy. But what's next for me? And I'll tell you that there was one time that I thought to myself, I want to venture into development. And somebody actually asked me, Veronica, you're comfortable. You're already at an age where you can hang your hat. And why would you even risk yourself into venturing into something new. And I thought to myself, that is the worst thing that I could ever hear from someone. Because even though we're older, I think we should continue to aspire for things. And as a matter of fact, if you read about mental acuity and how you keep yourself sharp, you really need to be active and continue
Yes.
to think youthful thoughts. And so the challenge I think that I had to overcome was this burning question of, should I even do something else? Should I just remain where I am right now and just continue to do the things that bring me success? Well, that's just not me. And
Mhm.
so as an older person, I think it was difficult for me to actually come to terms with my aspirations, because sometimes I question whether or not I should move forward or I should just
Right.
stay where I'm at. And so when I talk to people like you, Michelle, and we're both in our 60s, if you don't mind me sharing that.
You go right ahead. I'm a
I
grandmother of 9.
Oh, we have 8. Oh, how amazing!
How
I,
fun.
I love the fact that you continue to inspire, and I think for me, this interview has really sparked something. If anything, I think it's just reconfirmed the fact that I can absolutely just continue to keep on striving and to have aspirations. Oh,
Absolutely. I mean, I have widows that reach out to me and they're in their 60s and their 70s. I'm like, listen, the boomer generation, we built these things that everyone's enjoying right now. I
mm,
mean, we were a part of all of this revolution the past 30, 40 years. We have helped build that. So it's like we need to ride that silver tsunami, not get buried underneath it, ride it and enjoy. I mean, you're as far as in your older 50s, you are in your prime.
mm,
So our minds are sharp, our bodies are healthy. Most of us, I know some people struggle, but generally speaking, it's the best time to be working. And I look at this current administration, and I see the women who are in their 50s getting chosen for these big roles. And I think, why can't we do that
yeah.
same thing? And we can, wherever we're at. I think it's a fallacy that's actually going away now to where, okay, you're kind of washed up if you're over 55. And are you kidding? We're just starting.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well,
So good for
if
you. You're inspiring too.
oh, thank you so much, Michelle. If our audience wanted to connect with you or maybe buy your book, I know you've authored, was it 1 or 2 books?
I've authored one.
Yeah, if you could like share with us how to buy it, is it available on Amazon? And if you can speak about it a little bit, that'd be great.
Sure. Okay. There's a couple of ways they can find me through. Number one, if you go to michellemhensley.com, you will then be able to click on the book and order it. I'll send you a free copy, or you can order it off of Amazon. The other thing is you can email me, and I'm sure the information will be given, but it's michelle@niftypackage.co. I take calls, I answer my phone, I am very present, and would love to be able to talk to people if they have any interest. And Nifty Package Company is the business I run and started. And yeah, I look forward to helping anybody who has a need.
I love that. I love that. Well, thank you so much, Michelle, for spending the time with me. This was a great, great interview. I am
Thank
so
you.
inspired by what you do and how you've done it and how you've overcome your challenges. And so I'm sure my audience would have been so motivated just by listening to you. So thank you so much. And I hope that one day, maybe when I'm in South California, Southern California, I get a chance to connect with you. That'd be
That
so
would be
awesome.
wonderful.
Thank you, and I wish you all the very best.